we're going to be today mudding a joint. That's what we're doing today. Many different ways of doing this. Professionals do it differently. I'm just an amateur, so I'm going to show you how I do it, and I'm sure people will have comments and will have plenty to say, because there's probably about 100 different ways of doing this. So when we look at this, what you'll notice is that we've actually put the two tapered ends of the drywall one against the other. So here we have a gap. All right, it actually starts roughly around here and ends around there. So there's plenty of room, all right, to actually have a beautiful V in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some mud in that V, and there's a nice little coat in the V all the way across. All right, and done. Now, what you'll see is there's technically still a gap. I'm not even touching. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take our tape. Yes, there's all kinds of different ways of applying tape. This is how I'm doing it. All right. And now what we're doing is I actually bend it. Why? Because now I actually have the ability of moving it around without actually it all curling up on me. So you see it's easier to actually bend it. So now I see the joint right here. I want to make sure I'm in that joint right in the center, and I want to find it over here about the same thing. Okay? Now, the tape is dry, the mud is wet. What I want to do is I want to get this tape wet, because when the tape is wet, it actually sticks better. If it dries, or if it's too dry and you end up putting mud on top of that, it'll start to bubble, because it has created, you're not creating a perfect seal. Okay? So all we have here is we can see that our tape is starting to get wet. Why? Because we can see that it's actually just, you kind of see a little bit, it's getting moist, it's changing color, but it's also kind of little bubbles, but it's not bubbles, it's just the tape is actually just getting wet and expanding in certain areas. Okay? Now what we're going to do is, if I start to push hard, my whole tape is going to slide. I don't want it to slide. So what I want to do is I want to hold it in a sense. See, look, there's tons of mud underneath. I'm going to try to get rid of that mud. So now I'm going to actually apply some pressure, remove some of the mud. All right. And remember, this is how I do it. Now everybody's slightly different. I'm removing the mud from underneath as much as I can, and now doing the same thing on the other side. But now, because this is taped down or squished down, then the rest won't move. And that's the trick. And I'm giving my trowel an angle, just a slight angle towards the front. Most of my mud is out. Okay. There's still probably a 1/16 of an inch of mud underneath there. It looks like I've removed it all, but I didn't. Okay. So now what we're going to do is remember our V. Now, I could actually do it slightly different here. I want to give you some light. Never mind. We're just going to fill. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fill this slot. Okay? So now basically all of the mud that was underneath is being applied on top. Now by doing this, and if you do it smoothly, then what it's going to do, one stroke usually is the best way to get the proper mud without too many defects. If you start going like this, well, what you're doing is you're just creating a mess that you end up having to sand later. The trick is to try to not have to sand at all. And the way I want to not sand later is by giving it one slight coat. Now, my mud See, now it's starting to look good. Now here, I want to do the edge here, but without actually having to scrape, creating another line. I'm going to press here, apply pressure on my trowel this way, and then what it does is it creates a smooth edge on one side and a small little bevel, maybe inside my mud. Okay? Now once this dries, I'm just going to scrape a little bit of the mud right off, and then I might be able to touch up a little bit here and there, but it's pretty much, I'm not going to end up having to make 5 coats because I've actually filled up the gap as much as possible. So for today, that's one of the things I want to teach. The other thing I'd like to just quickly teach is how to fill a screw hole. Some people don't nail the screw hole very well. So we have a screw hole down here that I want to quickly show you. All right, whoop, right down there. Yeah, you won't see much of it probably. Okay, it's right here. And what people do is they tend to just go put mud in it and then just kind of like, and then what they're doing is they're leaving very thick mud. You don't want that thick mud. You're better off to go as tight as you can. It'll shrink and then you can add more later. All right? But, because if not, then you end up having to sand. It's ridiculous that people would have to sand their screw holes. We don't want to have to sand our screw holes ever. And if we're doing that, then we have a problem. Now, there's probably one more here that I could probably show you. All right. So in here, some of these have been, they've already dried. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to add a little bit. But again, we're trying to remove the drywall, or the mud. The drywall is nice and smooth already. All we're doing is just filling in divots, all right? We're not trying to mud everything. Remember that this here is going to give you a beautiful wall. It's a beautiful wall, all perfect, already ready to prime and ready to be beautiful. We're trying to make this match that. So if we're actually dinging everywhere, we've got all kinds, eventually we're just creating more work for ourselves. We don't want to create more work for ourselves. All right, we want to take less and less work as possible. Okay, so that's it for mudding today.